Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America with some serious news about former President Donald Trump. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. You guys know that the official sentencing of former President Donald Trump will happen in July. But we have some insight as to what's going on. Why? Because Sunny Hostin of The View claims she knows somebody at the DA's office who's going to recommend a year in prison for former President Trump. And that affects his case with Jack Smith, according to some legal experts. What the legal experts say is if you now have a convicted felon and he's going to be serving time, well, then the terms and conditions of his parole or probation, whatever he's on, while he waits for his trial with Jack Smith, well, that might have to change now. That the conditions of his release may have to change. Before, he was released on his own recognizance, but now he's a convicted felon. And what they're saying is Jack Smith could actually ask to have him held in a prison, behind bars, until such time as his case, which is probably not happening till after the election, is held. If the judge were to give him that, it would put Trump behind bars for the entire election. And if that is not the definition of lawfare, if that is not the definition of election interference, well, I don't know what is. Let's take a look and see what they have to say about it.
There's a lot of information in this pre-sentencing report that actually could pertain to his other legal issues that he's dealing with, from the civil ones here in New York, but also the other criminal cases. Could that complicate anything? I mean, is that why Todd Blanche attended this today when normally an attorney would not be present for it?
Has to be. If I had a client who had 3 other pending indictments and several civil verdicts in the process of appeal, I would absolutely insist on being there because what he says can be used against him in certain circumstances. Another thing to keep your eye on here is now that Trump's been convicted, once he's sentenced in New York, that could actually bump up his punishment if he's convicted in the other cases, because those cases, what you do is you calculate a person's criminal history. Now he has a criminal history.
You're agreeing, Maggie. I mean, what impact do you think it could have?
I think it could have all of the impacts that Ellie just described. I also think that it could end up being, and I'm not sure that this will happen, but because it hasn't happened yet, but it could end up being a factor in whether prosecutors in any of the other cases, and Ellie, correct me if I'm wrong, if they want to suggest that this impacts his release conditions on those indictments. Now, again, I don't think that's likely, but I do think that we have seen Jack Smith raised concerns about his attacks on the FBI. Judge Cannon in that case, the Mar-a-Lago documents case, did not agree with them. It's just something, it's more grist that prosecutors can point to.
Well, and if there's not jail as a result of this, I mean, even if he's checking with a probation officer, that would be pretty remarkable in the home stretch of the presidential campaign.
Yeah, to have a curfew, I mean, sometimes, and to have a geographic restriction. I mean, the conditions of probation can differ quite a bit, but I do want to make this point. Even if Judge Merchan sentences Trump to prison, and I think there's a decent chance he does, that sentence will almost certainly not be imposed until after appeal.
I assume that he is going to defer the sentence until after, while the appeal is ongoing and set it aside. And then that likely gets us till after the election.
And of course, we know Trump is going to appeal this. Ellie Honig, Maggie Haberman, great to have you both to start off the show.